Bad game week. Hi everyone, my name's Neil. Welcome back to my channel and another FPL video. I've been playing FPL now for 16 seasons. If you'd like to have a look at my career history, you can do so by going to the Fantasy Premier League website and putting in my team ID, which is 9046. From there, you'll be able to access my career history. So this video is about FPL and mental health. Now, for casual players out there, you might be watching and thinking, what do you mean mental health? It's just a game that's a bit of fun, not taking it that seriously, are we? And of course, you'd be right. However, for people like myself who have been playing FPL for a long time, who are passionate about the game and are very competitive, then when you have a bad game week, it makes you feel like utter crap. And this video is just about me just giving some of my thoughts on it and ways in which I try and help my kind of mental state, help myself to move on, and kind of not get too down about it. It's very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and say, right, you just need to, don't feel down. Just, it's only a game. Why we shouldn't be taking it that seriously, so just don't feel down about it. I know full well that it's not as simple as that, but I'm just simply going to try and give you guys some advice on just little things you can do and things not to do as well, which may help the situation. Now, sometimes to me, FPL feels a little bit like playing snakes and ladders. You can spend a lot of time researching, carefully considering your transfers, making gradual progress up the ranks, and then bang, variance hits, and you hit a snake, and you fall all the way back down again, and you almost feel like it's back to square one. It is how it is, I'm afraid, guys. You are going to get weeks like that purely because of variance. Even when you make the statistically correct decisions, and I'm going to get into that in more detail on one of my next videos, which I'm going to be releasing soon after this. But yeah, basically, even if you make the right decisions all the time in terms of the odds and the statistics, you're going to get weeks where the least likely odds, the least likely outcomes happen. And you've gone with the other option, you've gone with the right option statistically, and it's just not happened. It happens in all sports, from horse racing, from any sports you can think of. You get outsiders winning against the odds. It is how it is. But FPL is it is basically a prediction based game, and it's all about making the right decisions, and things favouring the statistics more often than they don't. So if you keep making the right decisions, then more often than not, you'll be rewarded for that. It's a bit like traders. They make a lot of money. Now they lose, and they lose a lot, but they win more than they lose, so they end up in profit. So it's all about just, you've got to stick with your decisions, stick to making the right calls each week, and you just have to take it on the chin, I'm afraid, when it goes wrong. So the first thing I would say not to do when you have a bad week, and that's to go onto the Fantasy Premier League website and just rip up your team. Start doing wildcards, start taking points hits, rage transferring people out your team because you've had enough of them. I get it. I get why you want to do it, but just if you can, just try and refrain from it, because it's often going to make things worse. What I would advise doing is just completely switching off from FPL. Just forget about it. Don't look at any websites. Don't look at YouTube. Videos like mine. Nothing. No Twitter. The FPL website. Just have a complete break from it for 2-3 days. Immerse yourself in your other hobbies. Go out for a walk, walk the dogs, just clear your head, And yeah, just get into your other interests. And if you haven't got any other interests, then get some, because it's quite unhealthy to invest so much mental energy and emotion in FPL. I get it; it's a great game, but you do need to have a mental break from it. Um, and when you've had a bad week, that's the right time to do it, I think, because you can just forget about it, come back in a few days, come back on the maybe the Wednesday, the Thursday of the next week, and have a look at it refreshed, refresh mindset, and look at your team. All right, what are we doing? What transfers are we doing? What's the team news? Um, and Yeah, that's what I would suggest doing. It helps me. I had a bad weekend, a really bad weekend, and I've got to be honest, I felt pretty low for most of the weekend, just because of how it gets you. So I know what it's like, but I am getting better at getting over it and kind of mentally moving on. In fact, I've already forgotten about it. Um, so I'm just going to show you guys what happened to my team this week, and the reasons why I was so down. So 51 points, and if you look at that, literally two of my players got returns. I can't remember the last time only two of my players got points. Just absolutely ridiculous. And also, if you look into it, the points that Ben Rama got were lucky. It was a deflected shot that was possibly not even on target, but he got given the goal, and of course gets 3 bonus points on top of that. So incredibly lucky, but I'll take it because I needed every scrap I could get this weekend. And then Salah's points, well, because Salah is so highly owned, it's like, well, doesn't really benefit me greatly. So you look at the rest of my team, it's just an absolute horror show everywhere, really. Sanchez and Veltman, despite the fact that Brighton were 2-0 up and in control, they still conceded. And not only that, but both Veltman and Sanchez both got booked. Thanks, guys. Again, no clean sheet for Man United. I've been thinking for several weeks now that Man United's defence just doesn't look good at all. They've looked like conceding in every game so far. I mean, okay, albeit the goal they did concede was a deflected goal, but they did need De Gea to save a penalty as well. So, yeah, their defence just doesn't look great to me. Marcal, who I brought in, he was my transfer in this week, and I did that because of how good Wolves' defensive statistics have been, particularly during matches when they've actually played some of the better teams, and with how good their fixtures are going forward. And what happens? They lose 2-0 at home to Brentford, who haven't scored many goals so far. What can you do? It was the right move. It was the right player to bring in. Just didn't happen for me. Ayling got 2. He got auto subbed in for me because Antonio didn't play. Greenwood got 2. I'm not going to complain too much about him because he has done well for me so far, and this is actually the only week he's not returned any points. And if I'm honest, a lot of his points have been quite lucky, I feel, some of the goals he scored. So these are the main two things that have really, really annoyed me, is Jota and Gundogan. Now, both, in my eyes, great picks. 7.5 kind of category midfielder. Good fixtures, both doing well in terms of the statistics, and the pair of them have blanked this week and last week. And in the case of Jota, I'm scratching my head trying to work out how I've not got any points from him. The Leeds game, 3 great chances he sets up for Mane, makes a mess of them all. Now, to be fair, that's not Jota's fault, obviously. And now this week, he misses what, for me, is possibly one of the worst misses I've ever seen. I mean, how on earth has he missed that chance he had? I was actually watching the game I found a stream for it, and I also had the image of the game was minimised, not minimised totally, but I've made it smaller because I wanted to look at some of the things on my screen as well. And from first view, I assumed that the keeper had saved it, because I couldn't think of any other explanation as to why that ball didn't hit the back of the net. And then yeah, on viewing that back, I just how was he missed? Just incredible. So yeah, it's so frustrating. And it's just, you know, these players, as I mentioned earlier, they're not going to get you points every week. There's going to be times when they don't score, they don't do anything. But when these guys both blank all at the same time, which is what happened with these two, it really harms your team. And then to cap it off, I was thinking, you know what, if Lukaku can get a goal and maybe, you know, a goal and assist maybe, and, you know, get sort of 9, 10, 11 points, then that would actually save the week. And it would almost actually be not too bad. But 3-0 they win, and Lukaku not involved in any of the goals. It just capped it off, to be honest. My overall rank has dropped from 372k to 602k, which means that I've not achieved what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be top 500k after the first 5 weeks, so I've not achieved that. I'm not too down because I'm still not in a horrendous position, and the teams at the moment are still quite tightly packed. So if I have a good week next week, I could go back up the rankings again. So yeah, that's the video, guys. Yeah, the message is just, by all means, you know, this is a fantastic game. But unfortunately, amongst the weeks of euphoria, when you get good scores, you're going to have weeks when it just doesn't happen. And this week, it was one of those weeks for me. But yeah, you just got to find some coping strategies. Just, yeah, the big thing for me is just completely switch off from FPL. And come back to it in a few days. So yeah, that's the video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did and you found it useful, if you could hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you give me some feedback, would be handy. I don't mind people downvoting my videos, which is what's happened on some of my previous ones. I haven't got a problem with that, but what would be helpful is if you actually say why you didn't like it. So then that just helps me to keep improving my content. I'm going to make the assumption that it is other FPL players out there who play the game and who are interested in it. Otherwise, if you're not, then why would you kind of click on the play button in the first place? So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.